what I did for many years, and it's so funny how many times you have to learn like the same lesson. But for many years, I was setting like the same exact goal, like over and over and over and over again. But I wasn't actually getting any closer to achieving the thing that I wanted to achieve. And the reason why I was not achieving is because welcome to this week's episode of the Marketing for Startups podcast. I'm talking about the most important thing for seeing progress in your business, the most important North Star metric for you as an entrepreneur, and that is accountability. It's actually the make or break thing for any goal or big thing that you want to achieve in your life. You need to hold yourself accountable for showing up every day, for achieving certain results. So, we're going to talk about the importance of accountability and different areas that it's going to show up in your life and business. And so, I think that this is probably the most important thing that you can focus on to actually see results in any area of your life. And so, this is a really important and juicy episode today. So, I'm so happy you're here. But before we get started, I would love, love, love for you to rate and review this podcast. If you love it, tell me. If you hate it, tell me, because I want to be held accountable to my performance as a podcaster. And my goal is to add value with all of the topics that I cover. So if you like the subject matter that we speak about in terms of how to improve your business, your marketing, sales, your growth, I would love for you to share your feelings with me, rate and review the podcast. And if you do find it super helpful, it would mean the world to me if you shared it with an entrepreneurial friend. Every week, we have 2 episodes that air each week. First is weekly Monday motivation. That's going to help kind of kick your butt or think deeply about certain things that are going to improve your life each and every week. And then on Thursday, we focus really on tactical advice about growing your business, sales, and marketing. So again, thank you for being here, though. It means the world to me. So let's dig into it, okay? Let's talk about accountability. So why is accountability even important? Okay, so I talk a lot about goal setting and quarterly reviews, and it actually ties back to this idea of accountability. You need to set mile markers for yourself through the year, through the quarter, through the week, through the month, because these are little check-ins, these are little touch points to see if you're on track. And if you are not paying attention to whether you're on track or off track for something that you want to accomplish, well, then don't be surprised if the end of the week or the end of the month, the end of the quarter or year comes and you are no further along than you were at the beginning. So setting and achieving goals is sort of the function by which accountability shows up in your life. And it is table stakes for your business. And I'm review and planning seriously. I think people are really excited to maybe sit down and plan, but oftentimes they're not going through the reviewing process, which I believe is even more important than the goal setting. Because if you're goal setting without doing that review process, being held accountable for the previous 90 days or the previous year or whatever, you're actually not going to be setting the right goals. Because what I did for many years, and it's so funny how many times you have to learn like the same lesson, but for many years, I was setting like the same exact goal, like over and over and over and over again. But I wasn't actually getting any closer to achieving the thing that I wanted to achieve. And the reason why I was not achieving is because in setting the goal was too vague. The goal was not actually giving me different actionable things to try to achieve my goal, right? So if you keep saying, oh, I want to double my revenue, and that's the goal, that's super vague. How are you going to double that revenue, right? So in the goal, you need to actually put a little bit of strategy behind that, right? I'm going to double my revenue by reaching out to X amount of prospects each and every month with an expected conversion rate of X, Y, and Z, 20%, 15%, 10%. And when you get that specific about your goal and sort of what the details of the goal are, right? These actionable goals, which are sometimes called SMART goals, right? That they're, what does the SMART stand for? Measurable, actionable, time bound, all that stuff. I forget the acronym, but the idea is that the SMART goals are actually breaking down that goal. So you give it this container by which we know exactly the actions that we're taking and that we need to accomplish. Like this S is for specific. We want a specific outcome by a certain time, right? That makes it time bound. So the way in which you set goals, actually having the goals and reviewing what didn't work is going to help you to set the right goals. But again, goal setting and making a plan is step one in accountability, because you're making an assumption, you're making a hypothesis on how you want to get to the place that you want to go. And it's probably not going to be right the first couple times that you do it, right? You have to expect that you're going to get it wrong, but the process of getting it wrong is the process you must go through in order to get it right. And I'm going to talk a little bit more on this because I think we go very haphazardly through our lives sometimes. And then we're confused as why we're not achieving the success, or why we're unhappy in our relationship, or why we're not satisfied with our health. We just are sort of very we're kind of like flowing with the tides. And the tide, if you may be lucky, and the tide sometimes takes you to just great places, right? If you have a really good mindset and you don't have any subconscious BS in your life, right? But oftentimes we come up against things that we want to achieve, and we have a lot of subconscious muck and junk inside of us that sort of stops us from getting to where we want to be quite easily. And so that's where goals really come in. And again, I like talking about it in the business context, but this actually is applicable to any part of your life. Setting and achieving goals, table stakes for getting anywhere. And they are the vehicle by which we hold ourselves accountable, because it is that unbiased, objective data that we can look at and we can say, did we actually do what we said we were going to do? Yes or no? If we did do what we said we were going to do, did that work? Yes or no? And a lot of us avoid that because it's hard. It sucks. It sucks when we're admitting that we didn't stick to the plan, that we got distracted. It sucks when we're looking ourselves in the mirror and we say, oh, our strategy that we wanted to go after didn't work. It just failed, totally failed. And the last week, the last 90 days, the last year was a complete waste of time. We never want to get to the point where the year has been a waste of time. So that's why having these feedback loops on a regular basis is so important. Okay, so what does setting and achieving goals do for you? That process, right, of being held accountable for your own actions and your own results, what it does is it gives you immense amounts of focus in your life, intention in your life. And we can understand that intentionality and that focus is actually going to get us to results. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean it's going to be quick. But when you're intentional and you're focused, what happens is you are becoming the person you need to be in order to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So that intentionality, that focus, coupled with our goals, looking at our goals, being honest about our goals, that's cultivating inside you a discipline that you need to get to the success that you have in your mind. And that success can mean many things. But now I want to look at this word discipline. Discipline is so fundamental to achievement. And in order to have that discipline, in order to execute, meaning stick to the plan that you set for yourself. And it's so funny how this shows up in our lives. Almost every single hour, you have some sort of opportunity to be more or less disciplined. And it is a constant negotiation, from the food choices that you make to when you sit down at your computer, what are you working on? Are you opening social media apps and getting distracted? Are you being pulled away by an email and getting off course with your plan for the day? That discipline is a daily practice. And these small micro decisions have catastrophic results when they compound over time. So I'll give you an example. If you have a list of top 3 things that you need to do every day, but every single day you don't get all 3 of them done, and then you are kind of honest with yourself and you're looking at maybe the data on your phone and you're realizing, well, I'm spending 6 hours a day scrolling through social media at certain moments. And those 6 hours I could be spending knocking off those top 3 things that I need to get done. Having the discipline to not only correct your behavior, but before that, actually having the discipline to even discover what is going wrong. Because what usually happens is you have your top 3 for the day. And I mean, this has happened to me before. For months, I just don't get them done. And then I say to myself, there's just not enough time in the day. It takes me too long to do tasks. These are my hypotheses, right? But with focus and intentionality and discipline applied to the same question, what you do is you start to get curious. And it's like, okay, what if I'm wrong? What if there is enough time in the day? Maybe I'm not organizing myself well enough, or maybe I'm getting too distracted. So accountability, again, fosters this discipline and this focus. You're holding yourself accountable to these goals that you made, that we talked about, and you're getting honest with yourself, but you need to have that discipline to be asking the question and committing to the focus. And that brings us into the next point, because with the focus and the discipline, it cultivates growth, because you're going to start to get curious, right? This is kind of like the waterfall about how all this stuff ties together. You're setting kind of these goals that you want to achieve, right? And you're focusing and you're getting disciplined on executing on a certain plan, right? You're intentionally setting up your days. You're making intentional choices throughout your daily life. And when things don't go the way that you want them to, and we're being honest with ourselves, right? Because that intentionality means that we're being honest. We have good intentions, right? We're being mindful. All of those things, the next sort of stage in that is for you to get really curious, and you're going to uncover maybe things that weren't so obvious on the surface, like what I talked about from your, getting pulled away from your daily top 3, right? You make assumptions, but when you get curious, you can start to run some experiments on yourself and say, hey, okay, how much more productive can I be if I turn my phone off the whole day that I'm working? I turn my phone off until the top 3 are done, right? Do I get better results or worse results? Or how about I delete social media apps from my phone? Or how about I only allow myself to open email for 15 minutes 2 times a day? These are experiments you can run with yourself. But the thing is that curiosity really cultivates this learning and this growth. And that's the sweet spot, is actually making progress is through the learning and the growth. And all of this are forms by which you're holding yourself accountable for results every day, every week, every month, every quarter, and every year. Now, when you go through this process, something really amazing happens inside yourself and also inside your business. So if you model this behavior, when you hold yourself accountable, even if you feel like you um, are crap at sort of staying focused, right? It's just the small practice of starting, right? You're going to get better over time. It's kind of like a muscle. Discipline, focus, mindfulness, all this is a muscle, and you're going to have to start somewhere. And each and every day, you're going to get better. And what happens with just the trying and the being honest with yourself, you build trust inside yourself. If you One thing that is one of the best, most powerful things that you can do is make a promise to yourself and keep it. And it's something I think that as a woman, I struggle with. It's easy for me to make promises to other people and put other people in front of me because I think that's how culture has socialized me as a woman. But if you are committed and you can really start to make micro promises to yourself and keep them, it could be as small as I'm not going to open my phone until these 3 tasks are done. Maybe hard, but after you do it a couple times, you start to be a person that you trust for yourself. Because you know how many times we sort of make a plan and we don't even believe it that we're going to do it. Like, oh, I'm going to go to this Christmas party or this holiday party and I'm not going to have dessert. And you say that to yourself and then you know that you don't really feel committed to that, right? Or I'm going to go to this birthday celebration, I'm not going to have a cocktail, but you're not really committed to it. I think we do these micro lies to ourselves a lot, and that it really eats away at the trust we have for ourselves, and that's very dangerous. And the way we can fight against that is to start making these small promises to ourselves and keeping them. It can be as small, the smallest little thing, right? As you know, cutting off your social media time. And when we build trust and credibility inside ourselves, the effect ripples through anyone in our lives, our families, our teams. We become a person that garners more respect, that people take more seriously. And this is really what we want when we're building and growing businesses or building and growing teams. We want to be someone that others take seriously and other people feel that they want to do well for. So accountability, it's a big topic, but it's something that reverberates through every piece of your life and is something that is incredibly important for making progress and achieving goals. So that's our episode for today. If you want more of the details, go to the website, go to the blog, the show notes, uglyventures.com. That's ugly with an I, UGLI, uglyventures.com. And I have all of these sort of 5 topics that I talked about as it relates to accountability written out for you in the show notes. But I would love to hear from you. What are the ways in which you hold yourself accountable to results? Are there any tricks or little hacks that you have in your day-to-day life that you can share with the community? Send me a DM on LinkedIn. I would love to hear it. All right, until next week, keep going because I know that you're going to get to any place that you want to get to. You just need to put your head down, do the work. And remember, you don't have to go fast. You just have to keep going and keep learning. Until next week.